Israel absolutely dictates our foreign policy.
And these aren't Israeli citizens.
Why did we go to war in Iraq? We have guys that are vastly interested in the security of Israel. That are government employees.
Trump said, let's investigate this. The CIA went after Donald Trump for it.
Yeah.
For Ukraine, not for Israel.
Do you think that when you say that Israel is directing U.S. foreign policy, do you think that Israel decides what the United States does?
Israel absolutely dictates our foreign policy, especially in the Middle East. Especially in the Middle East. You mentioned the Iraq war earlier, right? You said it was a waste of time. It was a bad war, right?
Yeah.
Why did we go to war in Iraq?
Well, I believe
for Israel.
I don't believe that it was for Israel.
It was 100% for Israel.
I think that it was actually because Saddam Hussein went into Kuwait, and I also believe that that's the reason.
But that was like a decade prior.
Okay, no, I was talking about the first
storm.
The first,
okay.
yeah, Desert Storm, not the second. I'm sorry,
Iraqi freedom.
You're
right.
Was the Kuwait war for the
actually,
Jews too?
I'm sorry?
Was the Kuwait, when we went to war in Kuwait, was
I don't think
for Israel?
Yes, I mean, most of our conflicts in the Middle East is for the benefit of Israel.
We were defending Muslims in Kuwait.
I think they're mostly
memo. If we're going to go ahead and look at our foreign policy in the Middle East, it's 100% dictated for Israeli security.
I totally disagree because I think
Sure,
I think that a lot of the reason that we do have the military actions is because of the Saudis, because we're defending the Saudis, because of the military base that we have in Saudi Arabia and stuff like that, and keeping the Saudi royal family in power because of oil. So I don't think that it's. I mean, I do think that there are times where the U.S. does stuff in conjunction with Israel. I'm not trying to say that we don't, but I don't think that it's always Israel and Israel telling us what to do.
I would just say this. If you were to say that Israel has immense pressure on U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East, I'd be like, interesting, tell me more.
Yeah.
If you say they direct all of it, I'm going to be like, bro, come on. The Mujahideen, Afghanistan, the Soviets, all that stuff was not about Israel. So to be so absolute, I feel hurts your argument.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I'm not saying absolutely, but I'm saying they dictate a significant amount of it.
Well, that's why I asked you to clarify earlier.
Yeah. We could talk about the Iraq war. That was for Israel. You know what I mean? If you want to
explain that. Like the first one or the second one?
I'm talking about 03. The weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah, I think
that was Iraqi and freedom or whatever, right?
I think George Bush was mad that Saddam Hussein tried to assassinate his daddy.
Guys.
The whole justification was 9/11, and there was no connection. Go ahead.
I'm not saying you're wrong. The point of the Iraq war was that we surrounded Iran. As Bolton, our Bolton bro over here, he knows this. He winks at me. Bolton said, what did he say? It's like in 2018 or whatever. By this time next year, we will be celebrating in Tehran. The U.S. foreign policy has long wanted to put a boot on Iran.
Yeah.
So
who wrote the foreign policy?
For taking out Iran?
Dual citizen neocons.
Like who?
Yeah.
Wolfowitz, the Pearls, the Fifes.
The Wolfowitz.
All dual citizen.
Wolfowitz has Israeli citizenship. He doesn't have Wolfowitz.
Okay, maybe one doesn't have Israeli citizenship.
So no, let's be specific. Who are you saying are the Israeli citizens?
Those guys, a bunch of them have dual citizenship.
Can we name them? Because I want to be specific. Wolfowitz doesn't.
I'm talking about Pearl, Fife, Bill Crystal, etc.
So we could put.
The point is that we have individuals that have a.
Yeah, Wolfowitz is not.
Yeah,
and I don't. Bill Crystal is not an Israeli.
Remember when they called Luke Gronkowski?
Yeah,
like they made a chart of all the media.
Not only so, but Israeli citizens, and these aren't Israeli citizens.
The point is that they went ahead, and whether we're going to talk about the clean break memo, we're going to talk about foreign policy, etc. We have guys that are vastly interested in the security of Israel. That are government employees that have a dual loyalty. I know that's a dirty word nowadays, but that is the truth.
But no, when you say
I think the argument here is that there's no logical basis not to argue the inverse, that the U.S. utilizes Israel as a partner in the Middle East for U.S. strategic interests, and so that's...
You have no beef in the Middle East if not for Israel.
That's not true. The Soviets in Afghanistan, China and lithium in Afghanistan. I mean, come on, bro.
I disagree with that too.
Well, hold on. With Soviets, that's a whole other situation. We armed the Mujahideen and Osama bin Laden and aka Al Qaeda. To fight the Russians. But when
so in the Middle East, when we armed the Mujahideen, and American imperialism radicalized
and they won
and radicalized a bunch of them to become Al Qaeda.
Why did they radicalize?
Because American empire was going and basically taking over a bunch of countries, overthrowing governments like Iran, bombing other countries, partnering with the Saudis, joining enemies of certain Islamic groups. The United States was interfering in the Middle East to go to war with
on behalf of whom?
The United States.
Israel.
No, because we did not arm the Mujahideen for Israel. The Soviets were trying to take Afghanistan.
Yes,
Israel and then they won.
And then they won. They beat him off. That's exactly Osama bin Laden.
Poor choice of words.
They won. Yeah, that was a bad choice of words. They knocked him out. They got him out of there, right? And then what ends up happening, where Osama bin Laden, right, has a beef with Saddam trying to fight with Saudi Arabia. He's like, hey, these guys, we need to go in and fight. And then America says, no, we're going to protect them, etc. And it's all over oil. It's all. Go ahead. Sorry, continue.
No. Well, I was just going to say, I don't want to interrupt you. I was just putting my hand up to make a point when you were done. I think the issue largely comes down to, of course, the United States and Israel are intertwined in military action in the Middle East. The U.S. has its interests, Israel has its interests, and they cooperate largely.
Of course.
What we end up then hearing from certain groups of people is that Israel is directing it. When it's like, I don't know, I mean, like the U.S. probably meets with Israel and says, here are the objectives we want, and then they work as a team.
It is the foundation of many of the reasons why the Middle East hates us. Is our support of Israel. It is a huge 100%. Reason. If you look at every single terrorist that's attacked the United States, whether it's Osama bin Laden to the Zohar brothers, every single time, our support of Israel is one of the chief reasons why they attack us.
That is 100% correct. And bin Laden wrote about it. Other countries have stated it strongly. The conflict with Hamas, Iran's interests, they do not like that the U.S. provides weapons support, et cetera, to Israel. Yeah. It doesn't mean Israel controls the U.S.
I mean, that's a debatable thing. I mean,
that's the debate we're having.
Yeah, but but I'm saying that they absolutely, because we don't get any benefit from being over there. We really don't. What strategic benefit?
Wait.
What strategic benefit does the United States get?
I would say this. I agree with you for a different reason. The United States, what benefit do we get from Ukraine or from Sudan or from Taiwan?
I agree.
Right. There's so none. For a different reason, I'm like, the U.S. isn't benefiting from these foreign entanglements in these ways.
Yeah, we don't.
But the U.S. neocon neoliberal establishment and the military-industrial complex and the petrodollar machine and the IMF and the SWIFT payment system largely benefit from all of these incursions and alliances. It's not just Israel. There's a reason why we spent more on Ukraine in 2 years than all of Israel in 50 years.
Yeah, but Israel gets away with things that other countries would never get away with.
Ukraine gets away with things. Ukraine is drafting 60-year-olds and women.
Yeah, but has Ukraine been involved in spying on us?
Yes.
Have they nuclear weapons from us?
Yes.
Have they nuclear weapons?
No.
Yeah, but
they were spying on us, and Kissinger gave Israel nuclear weapons. It wasn't like they stole them. Kissinger was like,
no, they absolutely stole them.
Yeah, Kissinger
Wait, hold on. I thought it was the French.
No, they stole the weapons from Apollo in Pennsylvania from the NUMEC facility. They absolutely stole it. Smuggled them through South America, destined for Palestine.
Right. So the challenge with that is that
not what I understand.
They stole the uranium.
And so here's the challenge.
Uranium or nuclear weapons?
The uranium that they used to eventually create the nuclear weapons. Okay. And they should be getting aid now because of Jimmy Carter.
So that's impossible to prove.
Kennedy knew this. It was the reason why he got killed. It was one of the reasons he got killed.
Bro.
I don't know if you want to go down this path, but like I'm telling you, like Kennedy knew this. It's not true. I've the soil in Dimona.
I've watched these videos too. I've read the documents as well. It's a lot of conjecture, omitting a lot of information. So So here's the issue I take with the Israel controls everything. It's like,
I'm not saying everything.
I mean, like the American
significant
foreign
amount of foreign policy. Significant amount.
The issue is, I've long made this argument with a lot of different conspiracy theories, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean like a group of people literally coming together to try and dictate something, is that people will find a morsel of truth and they will isolate it with a magnifying glass, zoom in, and it becomes their whole world.
Sure.
There are so many moving pieces to American empire. So that's why I bring up Ukraine. So the issue with like foreign policy, Israel, Kennedy, and all these things.
Yeah.
I will just say this. It is silly to say that Israel is the reason Kennedy got killed.
It's a component. I agree with you. That's very lazy because there was a bunch of people that wanted Kennedy gone. The mafia, the CIA,
and the
Zionists
CIA
wanted him gone. They absolutely wanted him gone. So I never sit there and say it's just them. No, I can explain systematically why they wanted him gone. But no one talks about the Zionist connection with the JFK assassination.
What was the organization? There was like AZN, and then there was AIPAC, and then people take one piece and zoom it in.
Yeah.
And that's wrong. There were so many components to this.
But I will say
that's why it's impossible to have a real argument.
Absolutely. Well, here's the thing. They found in the soil, they tested the soil. It came back.
Who was they, though?
The CIA. They went over and they tested Dimona, right? Yeah, I know. They went back and tested the soil, and they found that there's uranium in there. Back then, the only country that was making uranium of that enrichment was the United States from that Apollo facility. That's how Kenny knew that they had taken uranium from us. We were the only ones that made it.
The reason why I bring
and he was putting pressure on Ben Gurion to have nuclear inspections. That's why he resigned, actually, as a matter of fact. So it's been well documented that they stole the nuclear weapon from us and the materials to do so. And, we should be giving them aid because they violated an act from Jimmy Carter in 1973 because of that.
So I can't really go into that. I don't have a good response,
we could have.
But what I will say
discuss that another time.
There's the aid that goes to Sudan that's been massive. There's obviously Taiwan. There's Ukraine. We've given more money to Ukraine in 2 years than Israel in 60, 70 years.
Yep.
Get this. Ukraine, according to numerous sources, including Politico, which contradicts itself, Ukraine interfered in the 2016 election to try and get Hillary Clinton elected. The Ukrainian president has come to this country and lobbied Congress, and Congress all waved Ukrainian flags in unison.
UK did that too.
I mean, that to me is absolutely insane.
Yeah. I'm not for foreign aid at all, by the way.
All right, but here's my point.
I'm against it.
A lot of people,
I'm not for foreign aid.
when people are like, that like Israel controls us, and I'm like, bro, they were waving Ukrainian flags in our Congress. They dropped it down as the president came, even after they tried to overthrow our government. This is not an exaggeration. The Ukrainian government fed documents to political enemies of Donald Trump and got Manafort arrested to disrupt Trump's campaign, and he still won. Then you get the Burisma scandal. Then Ukraine is deeply entwined in interfering with the United States' government. Criminal actions. The Nord Stream pipeline was bombed. Germany has accused the Ukrainian of having done it. Yet the U.S. has given Ukraine more. I'm not saying that Ukrainians secretly control the world. I'm saying foreign policy is not dictated by any one source. The figures at play here are massive, global. And I think the bigger picture to look at is IMF, SWIFT, the military-industrial complex, the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations. These groups are not all one unified group. They're all just different wealthy special interests from various countries who all want somewhat different things, but kind of align in certain areas.
It's a big pie, and there are definitely Jews that are looking for a piece, but it's not all the Jews eating the pie.
I never said it's all. I'm very specific here, where I'm saying that they're able to get away with certain things that other countries and other allies would never be able to get away with.
I think Ukraine is.
Yeah,
I'll say it again.
But we don't have a Ukrainian lobby that controls our politicians.
What happened when Donald Trump...
we don't have a UPAC.
What happened when Donald Trump tried to investigate the Burisma scandal?
You're talking about with the Biden family, right? Obviously, the Biden crime family.
All Trump said was, there's this video of Biden saying, if you don't fire the prosecutor, you're not getting the $1 billion. I want to know what it's about. What happened to Donald Trump? A CIA agent, or I don't know if he was an agent or whatever, someone who was working with CIA, recorded a phone call, passed it off to another employee who blew the whistle, resulting in not only the impeachment of Donald Trump, an attempt to arrest and jail him, but also big tech companies in the United States banned anyone who would say the name of that CIA agent. That is one of the most insane things I have ever heard. And a criminal action by a former vice president, a quid pro quo, as he was active vice president, illegal by their standards. And when Trump said, let's investigate this, the CIA went after Donald Trump for it. Or Ukraine, not for Israel.
Yeah. Well, look, again, I'm not doubting what you're saying. Like, of course, the Burisma scandal, everything else like that, yes, that occurred. But what I am saying is that Ukraine does not have the same level of influence that Israel does in the United States. They don't have a super lobby. They don't have the powerful lobby that they have. And quite frankly, Ukraine would not be able to get away with half the things that Israel's been able to get away with.
Well, I will say this. I do want to move on because we have big news.
Sure.
And I do think it's a fun conversation.
It's a great discussion. I'm happy to have it.
There's so much history. We have to go back like 200 years. I don't think we'd ever get there. So let's just... I'm just going to cut it off there.
AIPAC should register as a foreign lobby group.
Yeah, why? It's Americans donating.
Still
It's
think
not
they should.
Israelis donating.